friends and family, welcome back. This is Melly at Dusty Sage Homestead, and today I am making sourdough. I feel like sourdough seems really difficult for a lot of people, and it doesn't have to be. It can be easy. Am I an expert? No. I have bread fail all the time, but it still comes out tasting delicious even if it doesn't look delicious. Here I am feeding my starter. I keep my starter in the fridge some of the time when I'm not using it very often. So I'm just doing a 1:1:1 ratio. So 1 part starter, 1 part flour, 1 part water, and mixing it up. And then I will leave it on the counter for a few hours for it to start rising. I usually wait until it's either doubled or tripled in size, and I mark that with a rubber band around the jar. I add 1,000 grams of flour to a bowl and 600 grams of water. This isn't hot water, I just do it with cold water, and then you let it rest for about a half hour after you've mixed it together. And this is supposed to make the bread a softer texture. And if you're wondering why I measure things out on a scale, it's because a cup of flour, if it's compacted, will weigh more than a cup of flour that is sifted. So saying add 4 cups of flour isn't the same as adding however many grams of flour. This little tiny spatula was gifted to me as a set, and I had no idea that they were used for sourdough. But that's what I ended up using, and it is the perfect tool. And now I see them being used for sourdough all the time. I also prefer using a chopstick to feed my starter. It works perfectly, it's easy to clean, and simple to fit inside of a jar. After your flour and water mixture has sat for 30 minutes, you are going to add the rest of your water and salt and starter. So I add 60 grams of water, 20 grams of salt, and 200 grams of starter. I like to do 4 sets of stretch and folds. You pick up a corner with a wetted hand and fold it over itself, and you turn the bowl and repeat the process many times until you can't do it much more. After your stretch and folds, you are going to let your dough rest on the counter. This amount of time depends on how warm your house is. My house is a bit cold, so I like to let it rest on the counter for about 6 hours. After that time period, I tend to skip the long ferment, so I don't put it in the fridge overnight. Usually I put it in the freezer for about a half hour, then I transfer it to the refrigerator, and then I will score it and bake it. When you're ready to bake, you're going to preheat your oven to 500 degrees and place your Dutch oven, its lid, and a pan in the oven to warm up. When you score your bread, you want to make an incision to let the bread ferment. You can do a fancy design or just single scores, it doesn't matter. If you want a large ear on your bread, you score parallel to the counter and make a half circle incision. I like to add about 3 ice cubes to my hot Dutch oven. This seems to let off steam during the baking process, making the crust softer. When I bake it, I turn the temperature down to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. I bake it with the lid on for 30 minutes. After that time, I take it out, uncover the Dutch oven, and put it back in the oven for another 20 minutes. The recipe I made does make 2 loaves of bread. I only recorded 1 loaf. The other one didn't turn out as nice, which happens all the time. This is what my crumb looks like, which just means the inside of the bread.
I can play one game, I guess. It's up to Mom.
It's good. It's really good.